Hey Thrivers, you're listening to episode 57. Today, Christine and I are talking all things routine, from how we get out of the house in the morning to things that we do to keep our kids happy, keep our kids safe. And Christine is just so passionate about this subject. As a teacher, Christine thrives on routine. She knows how to implement strategies and ideas that work for kids, that work for families. And so we are excited to share with you some of our ideas and some of the things that we do every day to keep our kids and our families happy. We are also going to be joined later in our episode by Bethany Ballantyne to talk favorite things, to talk thrifting, Calico Creek, one of our favorite local home stores, and kids music. So stay tuned.
Welcome to The Thrive, a podcast for working moms. This is for all the women and moms listening. If you work from home, in an office, run your own business, or are the CEO of your family, this podcast is for you. Because at the end of the day, all moms are working moms. Rachel and Christine invite you to celebrate the victories, get advice, listen to their mom fails, and to know you aren't alone, to thrive in your everyday life.
This episode is brought to you by Namaste Organized. Namaste Organized offers friendly, professional service to organize and modernize any space. Whether you're a single parent doing it all, a blended family with a full house, or an entrepreneur growing your business, a well-organized space will allow you to focus on what is most important to you. A professional organizer provides the efficiency you need to pursue your passions. Together, Melissa Groff can help you develop a system that works well for you and looks pretty too. Trust us, her own home is a testament to this. If you want some beautiful home inspiration, be sure to follow her at Namaste Organized on Instagram, where she offers a glimpse into her life on a regular basis with practical tips and information for anyone looking to declutter. Thank you, Melissa, for sponsoring our show and for teaching us that less is more. If you're ready to lose the weight of clutter and disorganization and live your best life, get in touch with Melissa Groff today at namasteorganized.com. Hey guys, this is Rachel.
And Christine.
Today, we are talking all about routines.
We love routines over here.
We do.
At the Thrive.
We do. You know, routines for our kids, routines for ourselves.
Yes.
I feel like everyone benefits from a good routine.
And I think, too, why we both probably like it is because we naturally fell into needing them in our prospective careers, our families. So it just became something that we incorporated into our day-to-day life and something now that we love to talk about and share with others. So we're going to talk about what routines we have in place and why we do it.
Yeah.
How it helps us keep
Well, you're
life
the teacher.
together.
Tell us a little bit about why they're so good for kids.
Yes. Well, and I think, so, okay, disclaimer. On any advice I have for children, I'm becoming very much aware of how it applies to us as adults. But for some reason, when we think of situations with children, it seems so different, but it's not. Just like we like to know what to expect or what's coming up or live by a calendar or a planner, whether or not you think you're a planning kind of person, we like to know what's going on. Yeah. We like to know what date that get together is or when this holiday is or when our next family outing is. And kids are the same way. They do really thrive on a routine and knowing what to expect in their day-to-day life. So as the caregivers, the teacher, the mom, families, it's important that we can set those up for our children because they really do thrive on that.
Yeah, I will say too, I have noticed a big difference from age 3 to 4. My 4-year-old Reagan, just since turning 4, like over the past few months, she is very in tune with what we have going on. Mm-hmm. She has started asking, like, at night, like, what day is tomorrow? Who comes tomorrow? Mm-hmm. That they always ask me that. We have babysitters, like, a few days a week. And even on the weekends, she'll be like, who's coming tomorrow? Is it a Grammy day or is it a Linda day? Or now it's Miss Amy. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, she's always, like, really wanting to be in the know. And she sometimes gets it right. And sometimes she's like, so tomorrow is Tuesday. I'm like, no, that was yesterday. Like, she really wants to know. And so there's definitely value in that because I feel like it gives them something to look forward to. It lets them know to, like, what to expect in the morning. You know, is it going to be like a get dressed, no messing around, got to get out of the house because we have preschool day? Or is it a mommy day? Like, Friday's our mommy day where, like, It's just me. Sorry, guys. No babysitter.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of things are connected back to having a routine and knowing how to set yourself up for success. So in school, knowing what the routine is like gets all of us, myself and my students included, ready for the day and in that mindset of learning or getting ready for lunch. What does that mean? How do I prepare for that? Mm-hmm. And the same is true at home. And you made a really good point, Rachel, about how even your kids at 3 or 4 are starting to ask the questions about what's coming up in their day.
Yeah.
And so even from an early age, I think we can start setting that groundwork for a routine with our children. And sometimes we might think, oh, they don't understand, or I can't use the word tomorrow or on Friday. But setting them up for success in ways like having a calendar on the fridge, even if it's just a 5-day calendar. I believe it was my sister-in-law, I think, or someone I knew would use the hand and show their kids like which day on their hand it was. And they started to learn that like the pinky was Friday. And on that day, you know, the weekend's coming. So even just giving them that visual. Mm-hmm. And I've had the thought, and I want to try to do it soon with my daughter who's 2. Sometimes she goes to daycare and sometimes she doesn't. But I want to get even a picture of myself or her teachers and put it on the fridge or even the garage door to show her who she's going to see the next day. So even at a young age,
so smart. I like that.
Like starting to get her ready, because on days where it's school, like you're mentioning, that looks different. We need to get dressed. We need to get moving. She knows that she's going to have breakfast at school, so we're not going to feed her at home. Mm-hmm. But on days where it is just her and I, we're going to have a little bit of a slower morning. So even small things like that with giving a visual, and the more you do it, it will start to resonate with your kids.
Yeah, I feel like that's so true. And I feel like transition is a big thing too. Like transitioning from one season to the next. Mm-hmm. Because over the summer, I am a very pretty easygoing. I don't love routine as far as when I am just home. I know some people are they eat lunch. Mm-hmm. They're very much oh, our kids have to eat lunch. They're so hungry or they're grumpy. My kids kind of graze. They are snackers. So that said, we don't always have lunch at the exact same time. And over the summer, I got really lax about when we would do things or what our days might look like. I mean, I had my days that I was working, but on the days that I was home, might go to the pool, we might do this, might do that. And I feel like transitioning to school has just been different, especially even now that it's getting cooler. My girls are used to in the summertime, they would be up, it'd be 7 o'clock and I would still be crawling out of bed and combing my hair, and they'd be outside playing because our yard is fenced and we can see the backyard. I can look down the hallway and our whole back wall of our house, there's 2 big sets of glass sliding doors. So it's very easy to keep an eye on things, even if I'm not out there with them. And they would be outside playing, jammies still on. The rule was that they could be on the patio because we have a big patio. And they wouldn't be running around the yard wearing their, Daniel Tiger jammies.
But if they were, get it, girl.
I mean, who cares? So they were used to just being able to kind of do this. This was how we woke up. They might play outside for an hour before they came in and had breakfast or got their hair combed or got ready for the day. Mm-hmm. And now on preschool mornings, I'm don't you dare go outside. It's cold. It's November now. It's rainy. You may not play outside in the mornings anymore the way you used to. And I feel we had such unusually warm weather that it just... The transition is finally happening that okay, the outside play is going to be more inside, and transitions are happening and they're not the easiest.
And we know that, and I think just because we're human, we kind of realize too late that a transition is coming or that we should have a conversation with our children about it. Because again, I think a lot of times our kids they understand more than maybe we give them credit for. So there's a lot of power in making that known that a change is coming, or if school is coming, well, here are the things that are going to have to adjust a little bit, and you make it an exciting thing, but spelling it out for them and then continuing to talk about it. A powerful thing in establishing a routine is being consistent and talking about it and continuing to talk about it. So even now, it's November, winter's coming, still having a conversation about wow, here are our days and it's different because we have school and what does that look like? And do you notice how we're going to bed and it's dark earlier and just talking about it?
Yes. Can you guys tell Christina's in her element here? I just need to say, can we tell like Christine is like, this is your thing.
It's my thing. Yeah. And so just making them more aware of it. And again, we do that as adults. Like when the holiday is coming, don't we start talking about budgeting? The new year comes, don't we start talking about weight loss? Like we're going to do it. It's the new year. And so we're always doing that ourselves with our partners, our friends. And then we just expect our kids who their brains are not developed the same to just come along and get with it.
Yeah.
When they're just kids. So we have to really lay that out for them. So
true.
Yeah.
I do talk to my kids a lot.
You do?
I will say that's one of the things. And I try to talk to them too, not like they're grown-ups, but like I do try to like clue them in.
Use the words.
Yeah, exactly. And if they don't quite understand, well, that's 3 sleeps from now.
Exactly.
So I use the days of the week and we talk through things.
And I had another thought.
Yeah.
Is going, when you said in the summer, you're a little bit more lax in routine, and an idea came to me too about what a routine actually is. And it doesn't have to mean that your whole day follows this schedule, but a routine can even be the way that you do a certain activity. So yeah, maybe in the summer you're out playing early in the morning, but then your routine of breakfast still looks the same and your kids know how to do that. And so for any of you listening that feel like, oh my goodness, I need to implement something, I don't even know where to begin, just picking a small part of your day, what is your goal, and then establishing 2 or 3 set procedures or the way you do it, and then being consistent, sticking with that, and see how it goes. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have a whole lesson plan for the day and I'm going to outline when I do everything, because we're not all wired that way. But finding that little part of your day where you can set an expectation is a really good place to start. So I think that's something I've been trying to do, even as my girls transition into new phases, new ages, to like tackle one more thing. Like what does time out look like? What does a Target adventure look like? What does dinner look like for us? So.
Yeah. I will say, so speaking of the little things, I had listed a couple little things that I feel like we have done that have made things more helpful. You mentioned, like, what does a Target routine look like? So, I mean, whether we're going to Target or Costco or wherever, the rule that we have implemented since school started is that you either hold a grown-up's hand or you hold on to the stroller.
So good.
And that has helped. And they do it now automatically. Reagan almost always wants to hold my hand, and Rowan would just prefer to like run around naked and like not hold anyone's hands. She holds a stroller. She's always like, no, I hold the stroller.
That's so good. Did you figure that out on your own?
Yes.
That's really smart.
Yeah, just because she was always fighting me on holding hands. And so the rule was that like, well, you had to be touching a grown-up like in some way. So like you're touching the stroller, that means we're all going to walk together. So that's a rule that we have, and it helps with like going in and going out of places. I feel like it keeps them safe so they're not running ahead. And yeah, I was pretty proud that like they caught on to that pretty quickly. So.
And I think a good way to start by implementing routines is thinking about your day or the activities that you might encounter in the week and what feels like it's not going well, or what's not feeling smooth, or where do you feel like as a mom, as a dad, that you don't have as much control, I would say, as you like. And in my classroom, whenever we have days where I feel like something didn't go as well, even if it's that I didn't teach a lesson as well, I always revert back to like, what is the routine that I need to set up to make it more successful? Because there's always something new to try. So that's exactly what you did. My Target ventures don't feel great. It doesn't feel safe. My daughter does the same thing at stores. She wants to run. So what can you do to try to adjust and try something out?
Yeah.
So I'm glad it stuck with your girls.
Yeah, that has definitely stuck. And another thing that cracks me up, because they do it everywhere they go. And this has been since they, are old enough to do shoes by themselves. My girls are trained to like take shoes off as soon as they get in the door.
Yes.
We don't wear shoes in our house. I'm not super strict about it, but like their shoes are always gross. So, like, they do not wear shoes in the house. And they will, like, sit down, even if we're going to a friend's house, or Rowan does it at school. It makes me laugh so much. She goes into preschool.
She takes her shoes off.
Yes. I help her.
She's so cute.
I help her hang up her backpack and her coat. And then she sits down and takes her shoes off and then puts them into her backpack, or puts them, like, right by where she hangs her coat.
Does she keep her shoes off?
When they're just in the classroom, they don't mind at all. Like, her teachers are so sweet, and they're like, she just prefers to have them off. Like, we'll try to put them back on, but then she'll take them back off. So I think they've given up. And a lot of times when I pick her up, she also has, like, flowing, like, Tarzan hair. Like, you know, the cute little ponytails that I did aren't in it anymore. She's just the free spirit.
I love it.
But she's good at taking her shoes off, and, like, her and Reagan know when we get home, like, we have a pretty good system for, like, putting things away. Like, shoes come off, they go in a little basket, and then from there they can kind of adjust. So I feel like that's one of the things we're good at. The thing I've been working on, though, is morning routine. Because that looks different. Like, on the days that they don't have school, we can be a lot more relaxed. And I have learned, too, not to, like, force myself into a routine that doesn't work for me.
Exactly.
Like, when I first started having my mom come and watch them on Mondays, I was like, yeah, come at, like, 8 o'clock. I'll get an early start. And then, like, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I am not ready at 8 o'clock to, like, be out the door and on my way. And
having some slower mornings in your week, that's a game changer.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, I have adjusted so that, like, we can just have our, like, slower morning. And she comes at, like, 9 or 9:30, and then that's perfect. But school days, we need to be out of the house at 9. So I don't know about you guys listening. Like, most schools here start, like, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock-ish. What time does your school start, your elementary school?
8:45.
8:45.
Yeah.
Okay. So 9 o'clock is really doable for us, but I do feel like there are certain things that we have implemented that make it easier. And if those things don't happen, it might be a bad morning.
Well, and so that makes, I've heard a lot, and we'll share with parents too, that kids have an ability to learn different environments. Different things are okay at school than they are at home, or different things are okay with your grandparents that maybe they're not okay with your parents, or something like that. And the same is true with days, and your kids can and will learn that one day in the morning is going to look different than another day. So even though it feels like, wow, this is so different, or maybe it's not as easy for them to adjust to one day to the next, it is possible, and they're figuring it out. But and then some of that probably is going to be what they prefer. Like, they would rather a slower morning, or maybe they like when it's a fast-paced morning. So sticking with it, because they can figure it out.
For sure. Well, I will say a couple of the things I do night before. It starts for me the night before.
No, that's so good. Well, and this shows, like, you've thought about it, Rachel. Like, you know, here's what we need to do. And, like, you've planned it out. So tell me
if these things don't happen the night before, then it's going to probably be a late morning.
Like, and I just cancel everything for the day and we regroup.
Yes. Well, the night before, I start by checking the weather.
Okay.
Because, especially now that they're in school, like, when we're just at home, it doesn't matter. But when you send them somewhere, like, you need to make sure they're dressed appropriately. Because
I know.
After having Robbie, like, last spring, they still had a few more weeks of school, and I was just so checked out. And I remember sending them a few times where I thought it was warm, but it was actually kind of cool, or like...
And don't you feel like the worst mom? Like, I'm sorry, I did not know what to do with my child.
Yeah, like, I didn't know they were going to go outside, and it was like 50 degrees. Like, I thought it was going to be 75.
And the weather changes, which I seem to forget often.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be this cold the whole day, and then she's sweating.
Exactly.
Okay, so check the weather.
So check the weather. And then after I check the weather, I can go pick out all their clothes. I even pick out Robbie's clothes, even though it's like the same thing all the time. Like, he just has, like, you know, the same little pants and same little onesies.
This onesie and this onesie.
But I pick them out because that way they're on his changing table, ready to go. Even his little socks, so I'm not searching for them. Even his little shoes. Like, I have learned I do all of these things because if I don't, they will stress me out in the morning. Like, just in the morning, something is bound to go wrong. That is my life.
Right.
So I get all their clothes picked out. A lot of times I will match my girls because I think it's cute, but also it makes life easier. Makes laundry easier too if you're just watching like two of the same things. You know, you don't have to sort all their stuff because it's the same. So
I don't sort anything, so I don't have that problem.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I mean...
It all goes in together.
I didn't used to sort, but like my mother-in-law guilted me so hard about it and was like, you know, your clothes will really last longer if you wash them with light colors.
Okay. Well,
so...
it's, goals.
I try. I mean, I just at least separate like my towels and things from like my real clothes. Like, I don't know.
I
That's like a basic sorting.
Nora peed through a diaper and it was all over her comforter. So I washed that by itself. So
yes.
I have some standards. But anyway, that is a really
good standard to have.
Yeah, that's a good tip though. Okay, so you clothes laid out the night before.
Yep, weathers.
Set up.
Weathers? I can't talk. Weather and
weathers.
Then clothes. And then after that, I will, depending on what my day looks like the next day, if I know that I'm taking Robbie with me and I don't have him staying home with the babysitter, I will get 2 bottles ready so that I can just pack one and put water in the next one. Like in the morning when he needs to have a bottle, he does, take formula now. So I just get the powder, I get everything ready. And I also have one of those like little to-go things, like the one that's like pre-measured, like the little formula container. I will make sure that is filled up so that it's like his diaper bag is packed and ready to go. So I check the girls' backpacks. If they have library, I get their books in them. I make sure their stuff is ready. And then I make sure that like the diaper bag is packed. I have diapers, I have wipes, I have what I need if I'm going to be working all day with a baby.
Do you have a checklist for different days? Like, how do you remember best what day is library or what day they need sneakers or what day they have after school stuff?
I would probably have a checklist if their schedules were really different.
Okay.
But right now, Rowan is in a toddler class that does not get to go to the library. So I just have to remember that Reagan has library on Thursday. And then they each, like at the beginning of the month, each of their teachers will give me like a newsletter and I have them on the fridge.
Okay, perfect.
So the only thing I really need to remember is like when they have snack.
That's a hard thing with the older your kids get and then the more children you have. Obviously, there's so many little things to remember and I often feel bad for parents. Now I'm in that boat. Like, I'm so sorry that there's so many schedules and things to remember because it's a lot and your kid's not going to really help you as much as you might want to about what day it is, even when they're like in middle school and
even at this age. I was told that it was pajama day a few weeks ago and thank the Lord I texted the teacher because it was not. And I almost sent Rowan to school in her pajamas.
Good reminder. That is tomorrow for Nora.
Yes. It must be like a popular theme this time of year because Reagan, they didn't do Halloween parties at school, Christian school. So they had pajama day today.
That's fine.
But yeah, they had like pajama day on different days because that's just by class instead of like the whole school. So at some point, maybe things will get easier when they're in like elementary, middle school, whatever, like, and things are kind of the same. Like if there's a special event, it's for all the kids, not just for like one class or another.
But they'll be in different grades, so they'll have different schedules, and then ours have like 5 different specials. So on some days it's books, some days you need sneakers for gym, or it's art, so you might need an art shirt.
I'm just gonna like fill their backpack with all the things so that like no matter what, they just always have them.
But this is when it comes back to what I said earlier about like what do we as adults do? Like we get planners, we learn to write things down, or we sit down on a Sunday night and we map out our week. Those things, like it might feel weird that you have to do that for a 6-year-old, but like looking at the week and writing things out, and I'm a big fan of putting things on the fridge, so I love that you said you do that with your calendar.
Yeah,
make it visual.
School stuff stays on our fridge, and my husband and Kyle and I share a Google Calendar. Like, he has full access to mine. He'll call me and be like, oh, how did your podcast go? Because I had that on the calendar today. And, I keep things like reminders about like the girls having like school programs, things like that. So that way he knows too, like, okay, I have to get off early that day or something. So we use calendars all the time. Anything in life goes into my Google Calendar. And that way too, I get a reminder. Because if I don't get a reminder, sometimes I don't know.
Right.
Like, even though it's in there, things like doctor's appointments, things that like I schedule way in advance. Sometimes I'm like, whew, thank goodness it wasn't more than a half-hour drive because mine only alert me 30 minutes before the event.
Oh, maybe you need to adjust that.
I mean, usually that's pretty good. I got to my dentist in time. Like when that happened to me a little bit ago, I was like, I forget where I was, but I was like, I have to go. I have a dentist appointment.
I had a dentist appointment yesterday and almost forgot because I was looking through my planner. I was like, oh goodness, that's tomorrow.
Because you put them in, like they will make you schedule like months in advance. So then I forget.
Well, and she's always like, do you want the little card with your next appointment? I'm like, there is no way that I'm going to keep track of that little card. So I put it in my phone with the hopes of remembering.
Yeah.
So
it happens to the best of us.
Something I wanted to talk about quickly again before we move on from routines is how do we keep encouraging our children when it's not easy?
Oh,
so and I know you've ebbed and flowed and had a lot of changes, so you've been through a lot with your own kids. Like, how do you reinforce it, help them when it's something that they're not catching on to easily, or it's a struggle? Is that a loaded question?
It's like, it is a big question.
Okay.
I mean, I think for us, like, So all those things I mentioned, if they happen the night before, then usually the morning is pretty smooth.
Perfect.
Because they just, they know to get their clothes on or come to me and I'll help them get dressed. And like, we go through all those steps. And there are times like right now, my 4-year-old, she's great during the mornings with like the getting dressed and like the, doing things in a more expedient way because she can be like the slowest in the mornings. She is not a morning person. And so sometimes we do have tough times and she's getting better at like the getting out the door, but she's in this phase of being able to unbuckle herself. She's in like a booster now with like the whatever like she has moved up to.
Okay.
Like that next seat after like the big car seat.
I don't know those yet.
Anyway, she can unbuckle herself. And I had to run back into the house for my phone charger. And I had just buckled like everybody in. Everyone was ready to go. She came back in the house. She followed me. She couldn't sit in the car for 2 minutes. And so she followed me back in. Not the end of the world. But in doing this, she lets the dog out. Because our dog is huge. And like they know they can't play at our front door. Like he will just push his way out. Because he's like 115 pounds. And so then I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, we're going to be late now because we were already, like, pushing it for time. Like, I'm not an early person. So I need, like, all my ducks in a row because that's how I get places on time. Right. I am never set up to be early, like, but I am able to set myself up to be on time. And I was so frustrated. And I got her back in the car. Well, told her to go back in the car. Got the dog back in the house. And then on the way to school, I didn't lose my temper. But I was like, we really need to work on this. Like, you need to understand that, like, when mommy asks you to do something, you have to do it. And if mommy tells you to wait in the car for a minute, just wait in the car. Like, I'm never going to leave you alone. Because then she's like, but I was scared. I'm like, well, what are you scared of? And sometimes I think she's at the age where she knows she can say things like that. And she knows. Like, she's not really scared. But we usually just talk through things. Like, I usually just emphasize, like, if I tell you to do it, it's for a reason. I get a lot of whys. They're in, like, a why phase. So I'll give them, like, a specific reason. Like, like, I need you to stay in the car because it takes a few minutes for us to get rebuckled and for everyone to get back in. And it's important that you get to your class on time.
Right.
So.
Something I think that I try to even do with Nora about that is having her repeat the things I'm asking of her, just like, again, adults would repeat positive affirmations and people say there's power in your words and power in speaking it out loud, like having our kids repeat those things, even if it doesn't change their immediate behavior. But like, I told you to wait in the car for mommy and I will wait for mommy and like keep doing that. So she's having to take ownership over that. Good. And I'm all for positive affirmations, positive, plans, behavior systems that reinforce the positive. But we do timeouts in my house for, moments where my 2-year-old needs some redirection. But I actually was just talking to someone recently whose son is just over a year and was having some strong feelings. And I was telling her how we started doing timeout with our daughter when she was really young. And I was fully aware of the fact that she did not understand what timeout meant, and it wasn't always going to change her behavior, but it was doing 2 things. One, it was teaching her what timeout looked like, that sometimes she needs to take a break from what she's doing, teaching her where it is, because I knew at some point it was going to start to sink in and resonate with her. And then the second thing it did when she was really young was it was teaching my husband and I how to do it and how to get up out of our seat even if we didn't want to and put her in timeout, and how to then make her come back and clean up the mess that she made. So it was getting us ready for that routine even before it was going to make an impact in her behavior. So I was just suggesting that to my friend because it's something we do. And I've put Nora in a timeout in a store before. I've put her in timeout when we were coming back from vacation. Really? I put her in timeout in the car.
What does that mean?
Well, it means she's in timeout. So she was watching a movie and I shut the movie and I said, you're in a timeout. And she was kicking her feet and I held her legs still so she couldn't kick, and we didn't talk to her and I ignored her. And she is more sensitive. So like to her that meant something. Yeah. And I know that's why I did it. And she, after that was over, we said, what do you say? And we talked about it and then we went back to life as normal. But I'm still doing that because again, I need to get into the the habit of being able to do that, because sometimes like when you're in the middle of a grocery store and things are going haywire, telling a 2 or 3 year old like you're going to get this thing taken away from you when you get home doesn't do anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, that's true.
So like I have no qualms with that. I don't mind if she's screaming in a public place, and I don't mind having to sit her on the floor and wait with her. Oh, because I mean business.
Christine is tough. Well, I can't say I've ever done like a timeout like that in a public place, but I like that idea. I just don't know that mine would listen. Like, I don't know.
Just like you said, though, with your morning routine, you said it works so well because you've done it so much. This might be a harder adjustment, but anything is possible. Yeah. Like, again, adults, we can learn hard things and we can do things that we don't love to do, especially if there's an end goal in sight. And we can't sell our kids short either. And we know, again, those routines are going to lead to a happier end.
I think the biggest thing is with my girls, if they're acting up in a store or a place like, you know, anywhere that they're in a cart or whatever, it's usually because they're bugging each other. So usually separating them does the trick.
Well, that's smart.
It'll be like, nope, you don't get to, sometimes like if they're sharing the cart, like Reagan is big enough, I'll be like, nope, you don't get to be in the cart now. If you can't keep hands to yourself, then you're going to walk like a big kid with me. So that's usually how I work around it. But I love that you stick with what you say you're going to do, because that's something that we've been working on with ours, is like telling them, you know, if I do threaten to take something away and then they don't listen, I do need to follow through with it.
Well, you're already doing that in the store. Like you fix that and it works.
And we use a lot of like sending them to their rooms. Sometimes that's what we'll do. Just kind of removing them from the situation. And a lot of it though, I think is just figuring out, like you said, you know, Nora's more sensitive. So you have to do what works with your kid.
Absolutely.
And we have 2 very strong-willed little girls. So sometimes we have to get creative, or we have to take away a toy that's like really special to them. Like we've noticed with our oldest that like she's more attached to things than our 2-year-old. So for our oldest, we can take a toy or something away and she's going to be really upset and she's going to want to behave to get it back. So what we'll do is we'll take something away, and we have kept things for a day or 2. And then she's asked about them, and like we're like, oh,
where's that thing? Like, oh, you were doing better. Here it is.
Yeah. So sometimes we're like more conscious about it than others. There have been a few times where like we're like, oh, where did you put that thing? She asked about it today. Like, but it works. Yeah. So I think a lot of it is, like you said, sticking with it, being consistent, and I just love that this is something you're so passionate about. I feel like you have great tips, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with favorite things. Okay, we've talked about this before, and one of the things I just love most is an organized space. I feel like when things are organized, I can get more done, I can find what I need, and I can just focus on the task in front of me instead of worrying about all of the other things. So we are so excited. This episode has been sponsored by Melissa Groff, owner of Namaste Organized. If you are local to Lancaster and you're looking for any help getting organized, whether you're a single parent doing it all, a blended family with a full house, or maybe you're an entrepreneur that's growing your business, a well-organized space will set you up for success and let you focus on the things that are most important to you. If you want some beautiful home inspiration and organizing tips, be sure to follow Melissa at Namaste Organized on Instagram. She offers a glimpse into her own life on a regular basis with practical tips and information for anyone that's looking to declutter. And we just want to say thanks, Namaste Organized, for sponsoring this episode. Be sure to check them out at namasteorganized.com. Okay, guys, we're back, and we're joined by Bethany Ballantyne.
Hey, Bethany! I love this.
Yes, Bethany decided to pop in for our favorite things, and if you don't know who Bethany is, she was on our show way back in season 1. She's a local photographer who also works with her husband. They do videography for weddings and events. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. It's like vintage now I was on here last. So I'm Bethany. I guess I would officially call myself a photographer. My husband and I also do wedding video. We are starting to work more with brands and stuff like that. So we've actually done less weddings, more businessy related things, which we really like to do. And I have just been trying to do a bunch of photo shoots lately. So families and kids and pets and couples and whatever else. So
I'm coming to you.
Yes.
I actually thought about today, but it's supposed to be so gross out.
I know. Well, you know.
We'll get it together.
I know. So one day I'll have some shareable content of Christine's family.
Yeah, someday soon. And you just had your second baby. I'm going to say there's a trilogy here. Of our three babies.
That is true.
Robbie was born, then Dorothy, and then Arlo.
I know. Yes, they're all within, a month and a half, right?
Yeah. When's Arlo's birthday?
It is June 7th. So, we were due 5 weeks apart, but it was like 8
but
weeks.
Robbie was Robbie was a little early, Arlo was a little late, but they're becoming the best of buds, so it's okay.
Yes, they have matching hats and everything.
Yes, little Carhartt beanies.
You two need to get some hats here, and it'll be a family affair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she does have one, actually.
Oh. I do, it's black, so you should. That's your next.
I was like, that's your favorite thing. Cute little Carhartt hats.
I know, those baby hats, man.
Okay, so who wants to start?
Favorite things, I will start. My favorite thing, in general, often is Cocalico Creek, a really cute store. They have 2 locations, but I always frequent the one on Route 30. What's the other name for Route 30? Is there another name?
Lincoln Highway.
Lincoln Highway, yes. Out down that way by the outlets.
This is not sponsored, but it should be.
It really should be.
Christine frequents Cocalico Creek a lot.
But here's the thing, for as seemingly like fancy this stuff is, they also have really good price things, like a lot of their vases and decor items. So I just got a few different size and styles of vases, and they're not all filled with anything in my house, but a friend of ours actually was over my house recently doing a little decor teaching and how she decorates her house, and she had all these vases, and I was amazed at how much of a difference they made, even if they weren't full of anything. It sounds funny, but I've just been playing around with that. I haven't fully mastered where to put them, but I was excited about the things I got because they weren't too expensive. So
shout out Jessie Smoker. She
thank you.
Really talented with decorating.
So that's my favorite thing, and having some fresh flowers in my house because I have a lot of fake things, like fake plants, which Jessie said she does too. So I felt validated. It's okay.
It is good, though. The fake ones, you can get really good ones a lot of places now. And then you don't have to water them. And you don't have to think about them because you have to also think about your kids and can't think about the plants all the time.
Yeah, my real plants always die, so I stick with fake.
Right. And flowers, like, they're going to die. So you're like, oh, I had them for a few days. They've done their job.
Yeah, but that's not the same as like a live plant.
No, it's not.
You have a fake fiddle leaf, don't you?
I do. It is beautiful, and I bought it from like a house sale from like one of the local house flippers. They like stage with stuff and then they sell all of it. So I bought it from them, and it is beautiful. And I get
fiddle plant,
like like the tree with the pretty.
They're called the fiddle leaf.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But it looks very real, and I always get compliments on it. And I even put like moss around it, so it kind of looks like real. Mostly it's because it's in like a huge pot, and it didn't fit, so I had to like stuff newspapers down in there.
Don't tell us your secret. Don't tell us.
Well, I feel like this leads into your favorite thing, because you are lately like a master with the DIY and the thrifty things.
Yes, my favorite thing is thrifting, specifically fashion sense, because it is within walking distance of my house. And as of right now, we actually do have 2 cars to use, but we have only had 1 car. So if I need to get out of the house, I'm basically just like wandering around Strasbourg, like wherever I can walk. But we have found such good things at Fashion Sense lately. And first of all, I don't enjoy spending a lot of money on my kids' clothes because I have a 2-year-old, and I probably throw away at least 1 article of clothing a week because she, like, her new thing is she loves this dry erase board, and the marker does not come out. So I have stain treated several times, but we just lost a really nice Nike shirt. Luckily, that one was from Marshall's, so it wasn't, like, super expensive, but I've just been thrifting everything because we're kind of between sizes with her and with a little baby, and they're just growing all the time. Right. I'm like, I just can't keep up. So,
and isn't it more sustainable? Like you're not buying new stuff, so it's gotten its use. Somebody else used it, and then you use it. So if it gets marker on it or destroyed, you feel like it's done its job.
Exactly. And that there have been several things that she has ruined that I kind of look at that way. Like, okay, well, I got it secondhand. Right. I didn't buy it brand new, but the perk of going all the time is finding, like, I usually leave with at least 1 thing, but it's because I go often and I find, like,
sometimes I will find a really good name brand. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I might be looking for something that I don't find and be like a little bit annoyed, but then I go back and like I just found these little Tom's booties for Arlo and they are so cute. They're like fur lined.
And they were like brand new.
They were. They still had the sticker on them. I guess they were from like Home Goods or Marshalls or something because they had like that sticker on it, but they were like $40 even there. So I was very excited to find those for like $10 and that's why a little more set for the cold weather.
Yes, we always need to be going out to these stores because you never know what you're going to find.
I know, that's where you find the good stuff.
But with a store like that too, or even if you're somebody that shops a lot at like a Marshall's, what they have from one week to the next changes. Yeah. So just because you didn't find what you wanted one time doesn't mean that like the next week you might find like a whole different variety of items.
Well, and even the issue with, like, specifically toddler sizes, I don't know about boys, probably boys and girls, I just don't have a 2-year-old boy yet, but, like, that size is hard to find right now, because kids between, like, once they start walking, like, between, like, 12 months and then, like, 3, they're just, like, wearing their clothes, like, so hard, and so it's really hard to find stuff, so that's why I end up having to go so often because I'm like still looking for the same thing over and over.
Well, I feel like I'll buy new leggings for Rowan, and like if I don't get them at consignment, I will grab leggings when like Carter's has a sale and they're like $4 a pair, or like the Cat and Jack ones.
And you gotta like double up on the colors because they just
but I was gonna say like they like within weeks I'll be like, you already put a hole in the knee. Like I need to learn how to start sewing things back together because Reagan has new leggings that already have holes in them.
Iron on a patch, man.
That's smart.
It's just like a little collection of like.
I feel like we're getting a lot of amens from our listeners about all of this because it's such mom life, like growing and needing new things and then ruining them.
Yes, so true.
Rachel, what is your favorite thing besides sewing holes in clothes?
Oh yeah, that's a favorite. I will say, shout out to my mom. She did prepare me for life, though. She put a little sewing kit together for me when I went to college. And I was like the only one out of my friends who like had any sewing supplies. So like, God forbid somebody like lost a button or like something like that. They'd be like, Rachel, could you sew this for me? And I should have started charging people.
You should have the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
I should have, but I didn't. But yeah, I can sew a little bit. I could learn how to do some patches. My favorite thing this week is not a clothing or like a thing, but have you heard of Rockabye Baby, the music?
From my dear friend Rachel, but I hadn't heard of it.
Let me pull it up here on my computer. So Rockabye Baby, they're these albums you can get. I actually first heard about it at Bellaboo, which is like a little shop downtown. They always play like cute little kid music, but it's like real songs. It's like, you know, it's Rihanna. It's
like
Kanye,
or like way better.
Oh, it's better. Here, I'll play it. It's like musical versions of like popular songs, and they're almost like lullaby-ish. And like I will play these for Robbie, and he like falls right asleep. I don't know if they'll be able to hear this,
Plunky
but
bells.
Yes, like here is. What's a good one?
Oh, like no one singing. Just music.
Yeah.
That sounds so great.
I might be singing along, but it doesn't come with the track.
Karaoke music.
Yeah, I have like Don't Speak. I have some No Doubt. I've got some Madonna. The Madonnas are pretty good. Here, this is Journey, Don't Stop Believing, but Rockabye Baby version. Oh, and sometimes they have like birds chirping.
Love it.
I'm calm already.
Right?
Oh, there it goes.
See?
Now, did you pay for this? You, like, bought the albums?
Yeah, okay. I think that I bought my, hold on. There you go. So now you have a little taste of Rockabye Baby. I think I bought my first album, like an actual CD from Bellaboo when Reagan was born. So that was like 4 years ago now, and my computer at the time, like, actually had, like, a CD port.
I'm gonna see if they're on Apple Music.
But yeah, they might be, but at least they're on iTunes. Like I purchased the rest of like the songs here from iTunes and just kind of picked songs that I liked from, you know, this artist or that artist. But I love it because I can still listen to songs that I like. I know the words in my head, but my kids
is a real
are just
parenting
being, like,
hack.
Calm down.
Yes. So mamas, we've given you a lot of content.
So they're on Apple Music.
So if you pay for Apple Music, then you don't have to buy the albums. You can use that.
Yes, and they have like all kinds. Like I've got some Cyndi Lauper. I think I have like Girls Just Want to Have Fun or something, and it's just the Rockabye Baby version. So
Awesome.
That's my fave.
This was a good list of favorites.
For sure.
Take that, do what you will, go shopping, play your music. You're welcome.
And
Gave you an afternoon.
And start a new routine.
Yes.
That's what we talked about earlier, Bethany. We were talking all about routines.
Routines.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect. I'll have to go back and
Well,
let
when
that
you do,
get into my brain.
we would love to hear if you've established any routines or how it's going. Give us a shout out. And if you have any questions, let us know. I would love to help brainstorm. I'm really passionate about that.
Yes, for sure. Well, mamas, in case no one told you,
you're doing amazing.
Thank you so much for listening today. You are a part of a growing community of moms, business owners, and women who are here to encourage and inspire. You can connect with Rachel at Rachel Klein Creative on Instagram or rachelkleincreative.com. To keep up with Christine and her latest events, follow her business journey on Instagram at Bellenberry Co. And if you want to be first to know about upcoming guests and giveaways, sign up for the Thrive Podcast email list today. Simply visit rachelkleincreative.com/The Thrive Podcast or follow at The Thrive Podcast on Instagram. If you've enjoyed listening this week or you've already added our show to your favorites playlist, we'd love for you to write us a review on iTunes. Your support and positive feedback allows us to keep encouraging moms and business owners each week.